Man, that started out as, real fun. Like really, the first time I ever did something like it was freestyling in high school. Now we would just be playing in the locker room, having like a freestyle on a Thursday of a game week or something like that. And then that continued at Alabama when I played at Alabama. Never lost a freestyle, by the way, when I was there. Wallace Gilberry, one of my teammates, may have something to say about that, but I won a close battle to keep the record. But I did that there, and the first time I really let a teammate know that I wrote poetry was my roommate, Freddie Roach, at the time. And, wrote a poem, and, man, the rest is history. My wife actually used to, she was my girlfriend at the time. I would write down the thoughts, and I'd then play basketball with the thought. I got it out of my head. That's what I was thinking. And she started keeping up with them. And she said, hey, you know what, this is pretty good. You need to keep up with this. And her encouragement kind of, helped me put things together a little better.
Appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
All right, first row, Boppers Billow.
Yeah, Todd, what's it been like to see Miguel Chavis sort of come into his own as position coach?
Oh, man, it's been awesome, man. I had the, blessing of working with Miguel for 5 years before coming here, hand in hand, every day, being in the trenches with him. And you could always see that, man, his time was going to come and that he was ready for his moment when it did come because of the job he did when he was working with me at Clemson. And, it's been a thing of beauty just to see him, interact with his players and, take the things that he learned and pouring into people. That's what he always did. Miguel Chavis is an elite encourager. And that's something that I know, and I know that he loves his players, and you just see that every day. He's very intentional about every word he says and everything he does.
Right next to Bob, Eric Bailey, Tulsa World.
Coach, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, too.
I wanted to ask you, just when you looked at accepting this job, how did Brent sell the University of Oklahoma to you? What were some of the highlights? And then what made you decide to follow him here?
Well, man, it was a tough decision. You go back and forth, and you know that it's always a possibility. But Coach Venables, he really sold me on day to day. That every day that I got to work with him at Clemson, and just seeing him get the best, squeeze a dollar out of a dime. Very, thankful for the opportunity I had at Clemson under Coach Sweeney. Gave me my first opportunity, and loved those players while I was there, man. But got the chance to come here and have an opportunity to be a co-coordinator and continue to grow under Coach Venables. And, I really, you kind of look at your growth and you kind of, count everything when you get to be at the level that I've been blessed to be on and under some great coaches. And during my 5 years there at Clemson, man, I grew, and a lot of people had a, hand in that. But I was with Coach Venables every day, and I just saw, the way he treated players, the way he pushed the staff, and really wanted some more of that, and had an opportunity, so I couldn't pass it up.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
We'll stay over here, John Hoover.
Hey, Todd, welcome. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
So to follow up on Eric's question, a little bit about the allure of coaching at a place like Oklahoma. You've obviously coached at a place like Clemson. You see championship banners on the wall and All-Americans going to the NFL, stuff like that. You get to continue that at a place like Oklahoma. Tell me about the allure of coaching somewhere like here.
Man, I tell you what, it's one of the blue blood programs, man, and with tradition oozing out his ears. You talk about the 50 conference championships. You talk about, since 2000 winning 239 ball games, and that doesn't just happen, and that's regardless who's been at the helm. We've over that time 3 different coaches, and people at the helm, they've just kept it going, and Oklahoma's just always been a special place. I was very fortunate during my time as a player at Alabama to play in that stadium, play right here in this stadium, and to see what that's all about. And it didn't turn out our way. For those of you who remember in '02, Oklahoma ended up winning that ball game. And, I ended up playing with some of those players from that team later in my career as a Titan, was part of the team with Rocky, Calmus, and Jason White. And you just see, man, the pride that they took in where they played. And that's just continued, man. So, I mean, I'm excited to have an opportunity to, be under Coach Venables and continue that process, man, and pour into players and make sure that they know, man, what they're a part of, because it's special.
DB also under Wolfville was on that team?
Oh, yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It was a lot of guys, man, on that team because as you can imagine, that year, man, you guys were loaded.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we'll come to the left side, Jesse Crittenden.
Hey Todd, it's good to talk to you today, man.
Nice to talk to you as well, man.
Hey, I just wanted to ask, how familiar were you with the staff that was here already, and just what's that process been like integrating with them?
When you're a student of the game, of course you're familiar with the other great coaches on the other side of the ball, and even the ones that do things. You study people in the off season, and we had studied Oklahoma and was big fans of some of the things that Oklahoma did when we were at Clemson, and you find out about Bill Beatonbow and how great of an O-line coach he is, and DeMarco Murray, Kel Gundy, you just name all of them and the success that they've been able to have here. So I was familiar. I knew, you know their work. You may not know the person, but you know their work.
Okay, coming from James Hill.
Todd, great to see you and great to meet you. Glad you're here. When you guys went to Clemson at that time wasn't recruiting the elite defensive tackle like you guys started to recruit. They were doing pretty well. Oklahoma's doing pretty well now. You bring that talent to Oklahoma on a recruiting basis. Talk about why you think you can get the elite defensive tackle now that you're at Oklahoma.
Man, it's because of they're attracted a lot of times the scheme that you run. Does it highlight their skill set? Does it create a one-on-one matchup? And then you got to go recruit guys that can win those. And they want to play in an aggressive scheme, attacking scheme, and that's what we've been. We've led the country in tackles for loss and sacks over the last decade, and that's what guys are attracted to. They want to have a chance to produce, and they want to see you producing draft picks. And so you got to be productive, and that's what we've been under Coach Venables' defense. We've been very productive, and we've been very intentional, and it hasn't just happened by chance. You don't do something 10 years in a row, and that's just by chance. So recruits are drawn to that. They really, and they know that it's not just that, the relationships that we're able to build. These guys are part of our families, and we really have those real relationships. That's what I would say that really drives it over the edge. When you truly know inside and out your players and they truly know you, you're going to get the best out of them. And that's what we've done, man. We've been at our best because we've been able to get the best out of our players. Yes, sir.
Right here, Brandon Drum.
Nice to meet you, Todd. You obviously were in the SEC region, coaching the ACC part of the country. Did that fact that Oklahoma was moving to the SEC, did that have anything to do with, I guess, your move from Clemson or at least have any sway in the decision?
Man, it was exciting. It was coming here and definitely knowing that you're going to have a chance to go and, compete in the SEC. I played in it during my career and especially in, the SEC West. And I think it didn't have a big, pull or draw for me, but it added icing on the cake, if you will. And because that, the guys, they want to play against the best of the best, and that's what we're going to have here.
Okay, let's go back to the far side, Gary Niebig.
Todd, good to meet you. Welcome to Oklahoma.
Thank you.
Who is among your mentors, coaching mentors?
I'd say, man, I've been very blessed. And early on in my career as a player, I had a lot of different head coaches. But I would say, from my playing career, Mike Shula, Paul Randolph, who was my position coach. Mike Shula, of course, was one of my head coaches. Dennis Franchione was one of my head coaches. Then, you know, Brent Venables, who I'm here with, Dabo Swinney at Clemson. And, man, my high school coach, that's one of the men that I really, you know, whenever I didn't even know, you know, I'm coming out of college wanting to go chase a dream to play in the NFL as long as I can. And my coach at the time, Michael Short, who was at Heflin, where I played high school ball, he mentioned to me, man, have you ever thought about GAing? And at the time I had not, because I wanted to exhaust every, you know, ounce into chasing that dream. But he doesn't even know what he did. He planted a seed, and he continued to water that seed, and that seed blossomed, man. And my first coaching job was at Hadley Parks and Recreation, really, like right after I finished playing and got cut by the Titans. Got a job over there coaching everything under the sun, and that kind of showed me what I wanted to do with my life, man. It was a calling, and it chose me. I got my degree in business administration, and, you know, I never planned to be a coach. But over the time, you know, during my playing career, I was always one of the most knowledgeable defensive linemen because I came from playing linebacker, so I had a good, you know, good feel for the game and good knowledge for the front seven, and you know, the rest is history.
Where was the Parks and Rec place?
Hadley Parks and Recreation in Nashville, Tennessee.
Nashville.
Yes, sir.
Thanks.
Yep.
Okay, this side, Todd, you live at St. Mays.
Coach, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I was on the field the same time that you were at Oklahoma State 20 years ago, and here recently I spent a lot of time around a lot of young offensive linemen and defensive linemen, and I am amazed at how different the technique is and how better their bodies are. Just talk about your experience over the last 20 and how that's grown, and now what some of these kids are doing to be just the complete freaks from the line of scrimmage that they are.
Man, it takes a lot, man. They have to be disciplined in what they put in their bodies. They have to be disciplined in the way they attack their workload every week. They have to be disciplined in the way that they rest, because it's just a lot on them, man. You know, being a football player today, we have it broken down into phases for us. And right now we're in the get-ready phase, and that means you're working out, you're doing mat drills, but you're always meeting with your nutritionist and putting those right things in your body. And you got to keep in the forefront of your mind, just like a professional athlete does. My weight window, you know, where does my coach want me at? Where am I going to play my best ball? And your discipline level is going to show by you not being a pound under or, you know, a pound over that weight. And we give a 5-pound window, and, you know, for guys to get there, man, and that's, you know, their discipline shows by them staying in that window.
Is that weekly meetings that you're having those conversations? Like, how do you guys come up with that number?
I'm always, like me, for example, I'm always looking at a guy, how he can move. And if you can carry the weight, you know, that's going to be for you. If you can't carry it, we're going to go down a window. And I look at windows as 5 pounds. Like when I was a rookie, I got this from whenever I was a pro. And so you're training young men to go where they're trying to go. And that's how we do it. I give them a 5-pound window. And if you're a pound over or under in the league, you get fined for that. So you kind of train them to be professionals before they're pros.
Okay, front row, minor pack.
Coach, you lost some talent, you guys in the combine right now. What do you think the guys that are returning? I guess I'm sure you looked at all the film from last year.
Yes, sir.
And then how much of a change, or will there be a change from what they've done in the past, what you'll want them to do?
Man, I tell you what, I'm excited about the group, man. They are hungry, they're humble, and they're hardworking, and they're seeking knowledge every day for what we're doing as far as our scheme and our playbook, because we'll run Coach Venables' defense that we ran at Clemson, and so that would be they're excited about that, and I gauge their excitement by how many times they text me a day about the plays. How many times a day they coming in and trying to watch on their own. And I can tell you that's been really great. And you know, we did some of the same stuff they did last year. So I've been able to, you know, the biggest barrier for a player learning a new scheme is the verbiage and the lingo. And so what I've challenged them to do is to try to speak our lingo and also share what they did last year, so I can help them merge that and cut the learning curve. So, but I'm excited about it. They're on the right track doing that. we're looking forward to getting started on March 22nd.
Okay, did I miss anybody? Okay, Brandon, don't have one more.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I was gonna ask you, but as far as like y'all's, I guess, coaching stations and stuff like that, have you seen, I guess, any rollover for, I guess, culture-wise? Was it as expected? Was it, there's some things you needed to have work on? I mean, how have you gauged the first couple of coaching stations, the first couple of weeks of that?
Well, what I noticed right away was it's not broken. It's not something, you're talking about having to go from good to great, not from average to great. To get there, you got to just roll your sleeves up every day, bring your hard hat and your lunch pail with you, and humble yourself and just put your head down and grind. And that's what my group and, the coaches and this team has done. They've embraced the culture. A lot of them, man, they love, how Coach Venables is serving their hearts, not their talent, and not turning the other way when you don't do it right or when you do something wrong. Just hold it. It's a circle of accountability, and we're making sure that they're surrounded by love as well.
For more information, you can visit TulsaWorld.com.